Yeah. So very good morning to one and all present who are here. Myself, Shrestha, working as Senior Research Fellow at Center for System Design and ITK Surathkal. So, myself on behalf of NITK Virtual Lab team, welcome you all for this introductory webinar on virtual labs. Okay. So, yeah. So, today let's see what exactly is this virtual lab. Okay. So, let me move forward. As you can see over here, Virtual Lab is an MHRD Government of India initiative under National Mission on Education through ICT. So when we say national mission, it is an umbrella mission which takes care of various ICT initiatives, which includes Swayam Prabha, Virtual Labs, eYantra, and so on. So these are basically different ICT initiatives, and Virtual Lab is one among them. Okay, which was started by MHRD, Government of India, very long back in around 2010 2012. Fine. So, before knowing what exactly is this virtual lab, first let's see why this Government of India started a project called Virtual Lab. Let's answer the question why first. So, as you can see over here, motivation. So, we know the number of engineering colleges are increasing, also the number of engineering graduates. But what about the quality of education? Are they meeting industry standards? No. Why? The reason may be many, right? So now what the colleges are doing? So they are joining hands with industry and setting up small research centers in the colleges itself. But what about the condition of college which is located in remote location? That may not have good communication with the industry. Also, if we think about the condition of students studying in a college which had just started, right? So when we look into that, the students may not get, or the labs in the colleges which has just started with may not be well equipped with the components. So in order to establish equality among students of different institutes, this Government of India started a project called Virtual Lab. Okay, so what is the basic idea behind this? As you can see, number of multiple users can work on the experimental setup through internet. So basically internet would be the mode of communication. Multiple people at a time will be working on the experimental setup in this virtual lab project. Okay, so what are the salient features to move on next? First point, as you can see, it is anytime, anywhere lab. So when I say virtual lab, it basically works with 3P criteria. What are these 3P? First is pace, place, and period. Okay, so first I'll go with place. So when I say virtual lab, it is independent of place. Okay, so you need not, the user need not go to lab itself to work on the virtual lab experiments. User can be anywhere. He can be at his home, he can be in hostel, he can be in classroom, he can be in lab itself to work on these virtual labs. So it is independent of place. Second is it is independent of period. That is, there is no time restriction as we have in our physical lab when we say virtual lab. Since the mode is online, it is available all the time. So user can work on these labs early in the morning or late at night, anytime, whichever time he is convenient with, he can work on these labs. Whenever we say an experiment, all the information pertaining to that particular experiment will be provided at a single point. Okay, it includes web resources, video lectures, anything. Yeah, you can see as we move forward. With this background of virtual labs, moving next, the types. As you can see over here, when we say virtual labs, there are three types. First one being modeling or simulation based. Second one is measurement based. And third one is experimental based. Okay. So strategy. Okay, so simulation based is basically mathematical modeling based. We can find multiple number of labs, so it is highly scalable, and multiple users can work on simulation based experiment at the same time. At the same time, many users can work on the experiment which is of simulation type. Next is measurement based, where we already would have conducted experiments and collected data, and whenever user performs the experiment, we will be giving them the stored data. Okay, and third one is remote triggered, which is more closer to reality. It is basically works with remote real time, yeah, but it is less scalable. So in remote triggered type of virtual labs, user will be actually working on the experimental setup. Fine. So let's see examples for all these different types of virtual labs today. So the difference between physical labs and virtual labs, as you can see, few points have been listed over here. Physical labs, we know to set up individual labs, how much it costs with respect to the resources required, infrastructures required, person or the management, everything requires multiple or more number of cost is involved, right? But whereas when we say virtual labs, the cost involved is almost nil. And availability, as I already told, these virtual labs are available all the time, 24/7. Experimentations, again, when we say this virtual labs provides wider and safer options for innovative experimentations to do innovative experimentations, whereas in user experience, we know doing manually with the experiment or working on the actual experiment is always the best, but in the current situation or in this pandemic situation, this virtual labs also stands best when we say labs. Okay, and other than this virtual lab doesn't require any key or so. There is no holiday for this virtual labs, and at any time you can use this virtual labs based on your interest. There is no supervision required when we do any of the experiment. There are many more differences when we say physical labs and virtual labs. Okay, so with these points of virtual labs in the mind, if we move forward, when I say virtual labs, as I already told broadly, virtual labs, here we develop labs in science and engineering domain, and when we say engineering, these are the 7 different branches over which labs have been developed, and physical sciences and chemical sciences. So basically in these 9 different domains, these virtual labs have been developed. And who developed these labs? So as you can see over here, there are participating institutes involved for the development. So there are 6 old IITs, IIIT Hyderabad, 2 private universities, COE Pune and NITK Surathkal. So NITK is the only one NIT involved in this particular project. Okay, so when we say participating institutes, so these, how they aid for virtual lab, one is in the development and second one is in the outreach. So they develop labs, also they spread the awareness of this virtual labs by various means. Okay, and outreach, as I already told, so this is approximate statistics. Currently the number has been increased. So there are 1067 plus nodal centers entitled to this particular project. When we say virtual lab hierarchy, IIT Delhi is the national coordinating institutes currently. Under IIT Delhi or including IIT Delhi, there are total 11 participating institutes, as I already told. And under these 11 different participating institutes, there are multiple institutes entitled to this particular project as nodal centers, which help in development also in outreach activities as well. Okay, so your college is also one of the nodal centers under NITK Surathkal for this virtual labs. Okay, and there are 1500 plus workshops run. Usage also you can see over here. And how can we access this virtual labs? So when we say virtual lab, it is basically a site, not a software. It is a website. And the link to access that is VLab vlab.co.in. Okay, as you can see over here, link to access this virtual lab is vlab.co.in. You can note it down. And to access the third type of virtual lab, that is RT labs or remote triggered labs, this is the link. Or you can just type RT Labs NITK in Google and the first link takes you to the RT Lab website. And here are the different social pages, social media pages. So in Instagrams, we have two IDs, official IDs, that is CSD_NITK and sol.nitk. And in Facebook, there are two official pages. One is Center for System Design NITK Surathkal and Sol the Virtual Lab at NITK Surathkal. Okay, so whatever activities we do with respect to virtual labs or in our department, it will be updated in our official pages. So we request each one of you to keep yourself updated by following all these official pages. Okay, and finally you can see there is something called Lagu Pata, which is available in YouTube. That is a video tutorial which was released during this lockdown time, which is the details you can see in the next slides. So, which is a quick guide with the usage of virtual labs. Okay, so here you can see there is something called Center for System Design and SOL, these two terms, right? So what are these? So in NITK Surathkal, virtual lab works with the name SOL, that is Student Online Laboratory for Virtual Experimentation. Okay, and in NITK Surathkal, it is taken care by the department called Center for System Design. Okay, it is taken care by the center, that is Center for System Design. And when I say NITK Surathkal, currently there are 180 plus nodal centers entitled to this virtual lab projects under NITK Surathkal, and main area of development of NITK Surathkal is mechanical, civil and electrical engineering domains. Okay. So as I already told, in the NITK, Center for System Design takes care of this. And to know quickly what is the Center for System Design department different than other departments. So this is a place where people from different domains come over here and work on wide variety of projects. Okay, so basically this department works in multidisciplinary platform and we work on wide variety of projects. It could be research oriented, consultancy based and so on. So the different areas of projects what we work on in Center for System Design is UAV, ROV based technology based projects, sound and vibration related projects, smart material based projects, experiential learning based projects and so on. So virtual lab, when we say, it is an example for experiential learning based projects. Okay, so the center is headed by Professor K.V. Gangadharan, who is a professor in mechanical engineering at NITK Surathkal, and this lab development is coordinated by Dr. Prithviraj Umesh sir, his associate faculty at Center for System Design NITK Surathkal. Okay, so this is how our official pages look. This is CSD_NITK and this is sol.nitk, which you can find in Instagrams, and these two are the pages, Center for System Design at NITK Surathkal and Sol the Virtual Labs at NITK Surathkal. These are the official pages in FB. And this is regarding Lagu Pata. It is basically a short video tutorial to guide students on using virtual labs. Okay, so till now we were speaking about virtual labs. So now let's now look into virtual labs available. Okay, few of the examples we will be demonstrating today in different domains. Okay, so basically in general when we say virtual labs, it is a journey from concept to reality. So it takes us from read engineering to do engineering. Okay, let's do engineering rather than read engineering. Okay, so with this, let me go to the website. So in the new tab, I'll now move to the website of virtual labs. So as I already told, the link to access virtual lab is vlab.co.in. Okay, fine. So this is the official website of virtual labs, and these are the different points which we have been already discussed. objectives, philosophy, and salient features. And these are the 9 different areas where virtual labs have been developed. These are the participating institutes responsible for the development. So to say few of the points quickly over here, to browse the different labs, one thing you can click on the domain and move with the labs available. Also, you can click on the institute logo that is available over here and go through the labs developed by that particular institute. So, for example, if I click on NITK logo, it takes me to the labs developed by NITK Surathkal. So, these are the different labs developed by NITK Surathkal till now. Okay. So, these are the two ways where you can browse the labs. So, today we will be showing you few of the labs under different domains, examples for different types of virtual labs that has been already discussed. So to start with, let me take you with few of the labs available under electronics domain. Okay, circuit domain. Fine. So here you can see when I say electronics or circuit, there are two options available. One is electronics and communication and one more is electrical engineering. So before moving forward, I would like to stress on few of the points. So one thing is, if we are from one of the domain, the labs might be available in other domain as well. So for example, if I say logic design as a subject, it is common, we know it is common for electronics, computer science, electrical. All the different domains will study concepts of logic design, right? So a lab might be available in one of the domain under this virtual lab platform. Okay, so if we are from electronics and communication, we might have some of the experiments available under computer science and engineering domain as well, under electrical engineering as well, also under physical sciences domain as well. Some of the concepts relating to electronics is available. Okay, that is one thing. And one more, some of the concepts might be explained or demonstrated under multiple labs. So whichever interface we feel convenient with, we can pick that. Okay, so to repeat here, I would say the hierarchy, we have different domains. So under each domain, we will be having set of labs. Under each lab, we have set of experiments. Okay, so first, let me take you with electronics and communication. Okay, so these are the different labs available. Here you can see the name of institute that has developed this particular lab. Okay, so under each lab, you will be finding the name of the developed institute, the institute which has developed this lab will be available over here only. So here you can see labs available from very basic topic to very advanced one. So here you can see basic electronics lab from IIT Kharagpur is there, and so on. VLSI is also there. Digital electronics. So for digital electronics, we have multiple labs available over here. So let me today take you with one of the lab for digital electronics only. So I'll take you with digital electronics circuits lab from IIT Kharagpur. Okay, so that is the lab I have taken now. This is the lab structure that is available. So the lab developed by individual institute will have its own type of structure. So IIT Kharagpur labs, most of the labs will have the same structure. Okay, so this is the introduction for the lab. These are the list of experiments that is available under this particular lab. This is the audience, this is the feedback and the technology used. So if any plugins required, it will be listed over here. Okay, so let me now go with a list of experiments. So these are the different experiments available under digital electronic circuits lab. Okay, so let me take you with one of the example, that is analysis and synthesis of sequential circuit using basic flip-flops. Okay, so this experiment deals with the analysis of different types of flip-flops. So this is the experiment I have chosen, that is 8th experiment. So experiment, when we say, it will have introduction, complete theory will be available over here. So as I already told initially, this virtual lab provides a complete learning management system at a single point. The complete theory behind this particular topic is available over here. Then as the objective of this particular experiment will be given. then is the procedure. So to note over here, this is the procedure to do the experiment in this virtual lab platform. Okay. This is not the procedure to do the experiment in the lab, physical lab. And this is a simulator. So simulator is the place where the actual experiment is. Then are the set of questions that is available to test our understanding levels. Then are the reference links. Okay. So now let's move to the simulator that is available. So here you can see there are 4 different parts, right? Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. What are these? So each part explains different types of flip-flops, okay? SR, JK, D and so on. So this part 1 deals with SR flip-flop analysis. So this is a simulator interface that is available. So some of the experiment requires some of the basic plugins to be allowed to run. Okay, so for example, this particular experiment requires Flash plugin to be installed or to be enabled in the browser. So I have already enabled at that time to test if the Flash plugin is working in the system. So we need to enable the Flash plugin and then move on. Okay, so once we enable that, here you can see the different divisions in the simulator window. Here is a portion to observe the waveform. This is a portion to provide the input. Here are the connections made, and this is the clock control button. These are the output LED indicators. Okay, so here now the connection is fixed. If you go with some of the other labs, you will be having similar experiments available where we can do the connections and then move with the experiment. Okay, since because of the time constraint, I have taken this particular experiment. Here the connections are already have been done. Okay, so whenever we have IC, we know the first thing is to provide VCC and ground, right? So now I will not look into the procedure. I'll directly go with the experiment. So I request each one of you to read the procedure and then do the experiment. Okay, so here if I go according to the procedure that has been given, first thing is we need to provide VCC and ground. So we have 2 IC. So we have 2 VCC and ground. We need to enable that. So once we enable both the VCC, I'll keep ground in 0 state. I will get the control for this clock start button. Okay. So now if I click on this clock start button, you can see clocks running. So I'll stop the clock temporarily. Here you can see there is something called number of clock pulses, right? So what is that? Here if I give number somewhere between 1 to 5, I'll give a number say 4. So for 4 clock cycles, you can see the output for each combination of input. Okay, so if I want to implement set condition now, I will make S as 1, I'll make R 0. Now if I click on clock start button, for 4 clock cycles, you can see the output. Okay, here also you can see the output being displayed. Similarly, we can implement other conditions as well. Okay, so this is how flip-flop demonstration works. Okay, so other parts that is available over here will also have a similar interface. Okay, so now let's move on. So I'll go back to the main website of Virtual Lab. So this is one of the experiment that is available under electronics and communication domain. So now let us look into a concept of circuit domain that is available under computer science and engineering domain. Okay, so I will move now into computer science and engineering domain. So you might be required to explore the different labs to pick the concept which is relevant to you. So now I already know. So under computer architecture and organization lab developed by IIT Kharagpur, you can see under the list of experiments, there is an experiment for K-map. Okay, so an experiment for K-map is not available anywhere in this virtual lab platform other than this particular lab. Okay, so if you want an experiment for K-map in virtual lab, then you need to come to this particular lab only. This is Computer Architecture and Organization Lab under Computer Science and Engineering domain in virtual labs. Okay, so here if we quickly look into this K-map experiment, the content covered is similar. So I'll directly go with the experiment. So here experiment says the procedure again, so I'll go with the simulator. So this is how simulator for K-map is available. Okay. So this particular experiment doesn't require any of the plugins to be allowed to run. So this experiment works with our cell phone as well. Okay, so if I now click on the blue screen that is available, this is the simulator window. Yeah, so here is an option to take random examples. So if we explain a concept in the class, then student can come over here and try out different examples and test his understanding levels. Okay, so number of input variables also we can select. We can select input variable number from 1 to 8. So if I say 6 variable K-map, initially I can hide the result. There is an option to hide result. I can take some random example. Yeah, so I can now do the grouping and get the expression using pen and paper. And once I get the expression using manual calculation, then I can check my result by unhiding the result. Okay, so by unhiding the result, you can see the grouping. Also, you can see the reduced expression that is given over here. Okay, so this is about random example. So now I can reset. So if we have given an K-map question in the assignment, then a student can always come over here. He can give the inputs manually over here as per our question in the assignment. He can do it using pen and paper. Then he can check his answer if it is right. Yes. So if I enable don't care, to get 1 in each of the cell, I need to click 1. I'll hide the result now. Then if I want to get don't care condition, I need to click on each cell twice. Okay. So this is 1 and I'll get X if I click twice. Okay. Similarly, I can give inputs to different cells, do the grouping and unhide the result and verify my answer. Okay, so this is about the K-map experiment that is available under this virtual lab platform. So I'll again now move back to the main website. So now let's quickly look into one of the experiment under electrical engineering domain. Okay, so let me take the basic experiment that is available over here. So these are the wide variety of labs available under electrical engineering. Yes, so let me take one of the experiment under electrical machines lab developed by IIT Guwahati. Okay, so I'll go with the first experiment only. Basically, this is the experiment to observe the generation of magnetic field using AC as well as DC current. Okay, so irrespective of the department, we all will be familiar with this particular concept. So you can see the content covered a similar introduction, theory, procedure, experiment and quiz. Here you can see there is experiment 1 and experiment 2. So experiment 1 deals with DC current and 2 with AC. Okay, so let's see one of the experiment. So other experiment will also have a similar interface. Okay, this again works with Adobe Flash Player. I have already enabled it. Fine. So here, since the procedure is small, let's look into the procedure and move forward. So I have opened my experiment in a separate tab. Okay, so in one tab I have kept my procedure and in one more tab I have kept my experiment. So first thing is we need to do the connection. So if we take a physical lab for this particular experiment, what we do? We will be having an experimental setup. We energize the coil and observe the deflection in the compass needle. Right here, other than compass needle, a Hall sensor is provided to observe the output. Okay, here compass needle is not there, Hall sensor is provided. Okay, so if we go to the procedure, first thing is connect terminals to the coil, connect terminals of coil to the power supply, that is energizing the coil, then connect Hall sensor to the oscilloscope to observe the output. So in all the experiment which involve doing the connection, the next step would be to check if the connection is right or wrong. Okay, though if it is not mentioned in the procedure, next step would be to check if the connection is right or wrong. So only if the connection is correct, we can move forward. Okay, then we need to switch on MCB, provide input and observe the various parameters in the output. Okay, so let's do the experiment. First thing is we need to connect the coil. Next thing is to connect the Hall sensor. Check if the connection is right. Then switch on MCB. I'll not change the polarity. I'll just provide the input. Yes, so we can see the magnetic lines. We can see the poles that have been developed. We can see the direction of current that is flowing. Okay, also the mathematical representation. So if I now change the polarity, we can see the change in all these parameters. Yeah, so this is for using DC current, and experiment 2 will have a similar interface. Only the difference is we'll be having two knobs, one for voltage and one more for frequency. Okay, the procedure would be the same. Okay, so with this, I'll go back to the main site. Yeah, so these are few of the variations that is available under circuit domain in this virtual lab platform in this main website. So other than these, can we find labs that is available anywhere else? Yes, so there is one more place called New Lab Development Site. So in this main website of virtual lab, at the top, here you can find the button called New Lab Development, right? If we click on that, it takes us to one more site that is maintained by IIT Bombay. Okay, so this is one more site, that is VLab development site, and at the top you can see something called Explore Labs, right? So if we click on that, we can find approved labs and labs under development. So under each of this, there are multiple labs available relating to different domains. Okay, so let me take one of the example over here. So as an example, let me take 8051 microcontroller lab for example. So this particular lab is not available in the main website now, but it is available over here. Okay, so when we say a lab in the virtual lab platform, it requires 7 to 10 experiments. So before that, this lab will be available in this New Lab Development site. Once all the evaluation happens after the development, then it will be moved to the main website. So basically, a lab before moving to the main website will be available under this New Lab Development portal. Okay, so if we look into the microcontroller lab, this is how the structure is. So we need to click on the Explore button. So this particular lab is developed by one of the nodal centers. So these three are the experiments currently available under this microcontroller lab. Yeah, so again the content covered would be similar. So I'll directly go to the simulation. So this experiment deals with interfacing 8051 microcontroller with the display devices. So one is LED and one more is 7-segment display. So here, if we look into the different options available, this is the small editor that is available. Here is the peripheral to observe the output. This is to observe the memory mapping, and this portion is to observe the pin mapping. Okay, so here we can write our own code. If not, we can copy the sample code that is available and do the execution. Okay, so now I'll copy the sample code for 7-segment display and paste it in the editor that is available. Okay, so current line will be highlighted in green color, next line in blue color, and if there is any error in the code, it will be shown in red color. Okay, so to execute this particular code, we have three options. One is run, that is one-time execution, debug for the step-by-step execution. We can also do the reset. Okay, so now I'll click on debug option. So here current line is highlighted in green color, next line in blue color. You can see the output over here. You can see the pin mapping over here. You can see the port selection now done is P0 in the code. Here also it is P0. So port 0 value is updated with the value of current line. Okay, here we can change the port. Now if I click on debug option, I'll not see the output over here. Since port in the code is P0 and here the port selected is port 2. Either I need to do the change over here in the code. If not, I need to select the current port. Okay, so if I now click on the debug option, the output you can see over here. So these are few of the variations where you can find wide variety of labs under circuit domain in this virtual lab platform. Okay, so with this, I think I'll stop presentation from my end and I'll hand over the session to my colleague, Mr. Daryl Thomas, who is also working as Senior Research Fellow at Center for System Design, NITK Surathkal. So he will be taking you with few of the labs under computer science and engineering domain. Okay, so with this, I'll stop sharing my screen. Thank you. Over to you, Daryl, sir.
Thank you, Srishta. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Very good morning to all the faculty members of SN Polytechnic Mudvidri. Myself, Beryl Thomas, I'm working as a Senior Research Fellow at Center for System Design, NITK Surathkal, and I will be navigating you through a few of the labs from Computer Science and Engineering domain. So I'll just start sharing my screen now.
Yeah, so before that, I would like Praveen sir to confirm regarding the recording of the session.
Continue.
Whether the session has been recording, is the recording is enabled, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen sir. I hope my screen is visible. So I'm just
Yes, sir.
having the VLab homepage on screen. Yeah, so this homepage and how to navigate the different labs to different areas has already been familiarized to you by Sreshta during her introductory session. So we have 9 specific subject areas and more areas are being added to the catalog of offerings. So we have more than 1,200 experiments across 120 plus labs across all these subjects on the virtual labs platform, and it is ever expanding. As Sreshta has already shown you the new lab development page. So that new lab development actually covers the different subjects or different topics that are being added to the whole list of virtual labs that are available. So we have already seen how to navigate these different branches and how to look for labs that might be in similar areas. Say in the case of electronics and communication, they might find a couple of related subjects in the broad area computer science and engineering listed under computer science and engineering, and vice versa. So topics that are relevant for computer science and engineering diploma students might be available on electronics and communication. So they also have basic electronics, digital electronics, all these topics will be there for computer science diploma students as well. So such kind of overlapping will be there, and also topics will be available under new lab development also. So if you click computer science and engineering from this home page, you will be taken to the list of labs in computer science and engineering, which this page also has already been shown by Sreshta while she was demonstrating the computer organization lab. So in general, other than the hardware oriented labs, so virtual labs, the whole concept is something that we've been hearing since long, but we have been hearing a little more of it since this online mode of education or online mode of teaching and learning has been forced upon us due to this pandemic. And the main concern was basically about the labs in which we will have to perform activities on machines, apparatuses, or experimental setups that are available only in the labs. So if you take the case of core engineering branches like mechanical or civil or even electronics, digital circuit branches, you will have to simulate the real world existent equipments or apparatuses or machines and create digital replicas or digital simulations and implement it through virtual labs. But in the case of computer science or computer engineering, almost all of the programming oriented labs are virtual itself after all. Even otherwise, even in the normal scenario, the students will be performing these experiments on a computing device itself with or internet without internet connection it would have been earlier. But what is there in addition to be offered to the students on a virtual platform? Say, for example, for C programming, they will be working on a IDE or a compiler that's based on their computer and performing their experiments. And those who are not having a computing device of that capacity, it's a different question. But still, that's the way we used to do. And what's there different or what's there more on this virtual platform is what we will look at right now. So you'll see a long list of labs. You'll see multiple labs available over here. So I'll take you to one of the basic ones, that is computer programming lab. So you have already listened to Shrestha about how the layouts of labs will be differing from one participating institute to the other. So in computer science engineering, most of the labs you will find that IIIT Hyderabad, one of the best institutes in the country for computer science education, which is IIIT Hyderabad, has been coordinating the development of most of the computer science labs. And in this, if we go to this lab called arrays, experiment called arrays, we have taken this particular lab, and within this lab we can find 9 experiments. And if you choose one of the experiments, will be taken to a similar kind of a page that you have already seen. You have introduction, theory, objective, procedure, and all those things, and you have a simulation. So simulation is where the actual experiment happens. So whichever experiment you choose, whichever lab you want to do, you'll have to go through the basics and the procedure and then proceed to the respective simulation. So I'll go to the simulation in this case, and I'll go to single dimensional arrays. So here, as per the procedure, I am supposed to initialize the condition with an array size and an array. So in the array, you have an option to generate random values or give your own set of values, and you will get a default code over here. So how this insertion sort code will work on this input condition which we have randomly generated, or if you wanted to have given a specific condition, you could have given that also. So how executing this program? So if I click this next button each time, one line of code from this program will get executed. And what change it will reflect onto the input condition is what the simulation is working to show a student or a learner who is working on this particular system. And so we all know how the algorithm will be working in this case. So we'll have a key position initialized by a of I, and it is indicated in yellow over here, and it will compare itself with all the elements to the left side of it. So it will compare itself with all the elements to the left side of it and position itself. So the left side is supposed to be a sorted condition, and this procedure will continue till the end of the array. So inside this while loop, the comparison part will be happening. And here in this case, since these two elements are not in sorted position, they will be interchanged at the end of this inner loop. And since there are no further elements, the inner loop, the while loop will exit. So I hope you can see the red line or red font changing. So the red indicates the line that is under execution. So then the key position will be incremented. The key control will go to element 5. And in the inner loop, again, it will interchange with the value 13, since 13 is a larger number. So looking at the next two elements, you can obviously understand that the same thing will continue and until the end of the whole sorting process. So you could have given a larger size array also, and you could have seen how the whole process is happening. So in this way, explaining the theoretical concept or the cognitive understanding of the students, affecting the cognitive understanding of the students, is what virtual labs in computer science basically tries to do. So this program, you could write it on a GCC or a Turbo C or whichever compiler that you might have been using for your students. They could write this code and execute it give a random set of numbers, execute it, and see if it's working or not. But how it is working is what this experiment or this lab is trying to teach a student. So once the whole sorting process is ended, the loops will exit and it will execute the return statement, and you'll get a message that the code running is over and the whole system will exit. So this is how even the other labs in computer programming will be working. So if you go to all the other labs in computer programming also, it will be working in a similar way. You'll have a default code. So in this case, you'll have default C codes, codes that are written in C, and you'll be able to customize input conditions, and you'll be able to see how that particular program or that particular concept is worked in a programming environment. That's the specifics of computer programming lab. This is one way in which labs in computer science are implemented. So now we'll look at another one, which is data structures. So if you look for data structures, you will find this one called Data Structures Lab CSE 01-IITH, IITH, which is an older lab. So this is actually a flash-based lab, which is going to be obsolete in a short period of time, obviously. So there is a revised lab, a new lab for data structures in Data Structures 1 and 2. It is named as Data Structures 1 and 2 here. So DS1-IITH is the URL and DS2. So you may have to, if you are looking for data structure subject, this might be the one you will have to choose. And once you go into this data structures lab, this is the interface. Again, the interface differs. This is actually the interface that is used by most of the newly development labs. So as you could find, this is actually a newly development lab, newly developed lab, recently deployed. In fact, after the lockdown got enforced fully, this lab was published to the main website. So if you go to the list of experiments also, you'll find the different data structures. I'll again go into a sorting algorithm itself for the ease of explaining. So this is the interface for each experiment in the data structures lab. So this data structures lab, unlike the previous lab, the computer programming lab that we saw, this one is not directly or explicitly linking itself to any programming language. So this is a completely theoretical explanation of the concept, explaining how the whole experiment or how the concept is working. So basically data structures, it's all about algorithms and how it is implemented, and also its complexity aspects, analysis aspects, etc. So that is what this data structures lab mainly focuses on, rather than the programming part of it. So the programming, obviously, once you're thorough with the algorithm and once you're familiar with the language, you'll be able to implement it. That's the understanding behind, or the logic behind implementing this particular lab. So you have an introduction, a detailed introduction with the help of video tutorials. So in this lab, we have inbuilt, or within the experiment itself, you have detailed video tutorials in all the lessons. So if you take all these chapters as lessons, you have detailed videos in all these lessons. So once you get hold of go through this introductory theory, you will have a pretest before going into the experiment. Then there is a lesson about the divide and conquer approach, which is the approach that is followed in devising the algorithm, the merge sort algorithm, and then how sorting is a DNC problem. All of them are explained in detail in theory. And at the end of each chapter also, you have a basic MCQ quiz, and you have the algorithm itself. So the algorithm itself is again explained with the help of a video, and then the simulation part of it comes. So here in this simulation, again, you have the procedure or the instructions over here. You're supposed to set up an input condition, and you have a next button that will show you how the algorithm will work. So here it's completely based on these images. The chart, you'd obviously have drawn all these kind of things while explaining your data structure or sorting algorithm in the computer, in the classroom. So that's how this particular lab is implemented. So you can click next button each time to see how the subdivision of or subarray creation is done on this particular test condition. So you can customize the test condition as in the previous case, as in the previous computer programming experiment, and then how the whole sorting process will be happening. So once all the array elements are split into individual numbers into or individual elements, it will start merging it back to the subarrays to the original positions. So the observations here will show what is the process or what is the step that is being undertaken at that given point of time. And this whole process explains how the algorithm is implemented on our given test condition. So this is how the data structures lab has been devised. So these simulations are completely theoretical, as you can see. It's not directly programming involved. It's completely theoretical, and it has a practice and exercise part also, which will ask the students themselves to pick the elements and correctly or follow the exact sequence as per the merge sort algorithm and complete the merging and sorting process themselves. So it's completely theoretical. And again, after the algorithm, you have the analysis lesson also, where the time and space complexity aspects of the merge sort algorithm is discussed, and also its comparison with the other sorting algorithms and all are also discussed. And again, this chapter also has a quiz, and the end of the experiment also you have a quiz. So this is how sorting algorithm or lab or any lab in data structures uh, topic is actually dealt with. So we have almost 15 experiments under the data structures labs, new data structures 1 and 2 labs. Across these two, you have almost 15 experiments that are implemented like this. So this is actually one of the best labs, I would say, that is available under computer science engineering, because it tries to give that level of cognitive understanding to the student on each of the particular uh, data structure concepts. So I'll also look at one more kind of lab, which is in the new basic HTML lab. So if you go into this basics of HTML lab, you'll find again that the layout is same. So here in this particular lab, what will happen is, so I'll directly go to the simulation. So here what we are supposed to do is, we have a text box where we are supposed to write the code, and you will get to see the result on the left hand side of it. So you are supposed to write your HTML code inside this text box. And whatever code you write, the web preview or the web implementation of that is shown here in the previous section. So this particular experiment is the introduction, and rather than the introduction, you have multiple other simulations also under this lab. If you look at the other experiments, we have detailed other experiments also. So this is another kind where you are supposed to do what we normally do on the computer itself. So again, this writing the code and then running it can be done offline also. If you have, in the case of HTML, we don't really need anything. You can just write the code on a notepad file, save it as .html, and open it on a browser and simply see it. So it's just a replication of what we can do offline on an online platform. So this is the third kind of lab where we have an online coding provision itself. So we just saw through three different types of labs in the set of labs that are available on the Virtual Labs platform for computer science students. And again, if you look at the new lab development page, if you go to the new lab development page, you'll find multiple other labs that are useful for computer science students. Even from electronics and communication, you have microcontroller labs, uh, digital applications that are useful for CS students. And from CS itself, we have PHP database lab that are all under development. You have computer graphics that is under development. So all these labs in new lab development also are there, which will be useful for computer science students uh, in their learning. So this was just a familiarization, a quick familiarization of the types of labs in computer science domain for computer science students. So I hope you were able to get a glance of how labs are implemented for computer science on this virtual labs platform. So I'll stop my presentation now, and I'll hand it over to my colleague Miss Aishwarya Hegde, who's going to take you through labs in civil engineering domain. Thank you all.
Thank you, Beryl sir. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Aishwarya, you're audible.
Yeah, I'll just share my screen. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, Aishwarya.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Aishwarya Hegde, and I'm working as a senior research fellow at Center for System Design, NITK Surathkal. So I'll be demonstrating on some of the civil engineering labs. By now, you have a clear idea of virtual lab, the types of lab that are available, the simulation-based labs, and the measurement-based labs, etc. So I'll be showing some of the simulation-based labs in civil engineering domain. So, as you know, to access these labs, we have to go to vlab.co.in, and this is the website. And there, if you go to broad areas of virtual labs, you can see different disciplines of engineering which you can explore. So here, I'll directly go to civil engineering domain. And in civil engineering, there are about 14 labs that are developed by various institutes. So you can see here, there are different types of labs developed by different institutes like IIIT Hyderabad, NIT Karnataka, IIT Delhi, and IIT Roorkee, etc. So we'll see each of these labs. Let's just start with the strength of material lab. So this particular lab is common for both mechanical and civil domain. So let's go to list of experiments in strength of material lab. So here you can see there are about 14 experiments in this particular lab. So there are experiment related to impact test, hardness test on different type of hardness tests are available. Also tensile test on different type of material. Similarly, compression test, etc. So we'll see one of the experiment here. So let's just start with IZOD impact test. So again, the templates will remain the same. There will be theory, there will be procedure, then there is a section called self-evaluation where there will be quiz questions. Then there is a section called simulator. Simulator is where you'll be performing the experiment. So I'll go to the simulator. So here there's a section called procedure. This section should not be confused with the procedure of the experiment. This will give you a detailed explanation on how to do the simulation. It will give you instruction as to where you have to click while doing the simulation. So we'll go to the simulator and perform the experiment. So here in IZOD impact test, as you can see, the objectives are defined. The apparatus used is shown. So this is the first page of the template. So we'll click on next. Now in the second step, the user is given an option to select the type of specimen. So you can see here there are two specimens given, cast iron and mild steel. So I'll select the mild steel specimen. So once I select the type of specimen, the dimensional specification of that specimen will be given in the table. So you can see here the dimensions are given in the table shown. So I'll note down the dimensions and then I'll click on next. Now in the first step, what we'll do is we'll measure the loss of energy due to friction. So what we'll do, before keeping any sample in the anvil portion, we'll allow the hammer to strike the anvil portion when there is no specimen. So I'll pull the lever so that the hammer will strike the anvil portion, and then we'll measure the loss of energy due to friction. So it's about 2 joules. So we'll note down the value and then we'll click on next. So now, since we had selected the mild steel specimen, we'll place the mild steel specimen in the anvil portion. So since it is IZOD impact test, we'll place the specimen perpendicular in the anvil portion, and the notch will be facing the direction of the hammer. So once we are done placing the specimen, we'll click on next. So now in this setup, as you can see here, the specimen is placed in the anvil portion. The larger weave is given here. So now I'll pull the lever and allow the hammer to strike the specimen, and that time will measure the total loss of energy during transit of hammer. So it's about 46 joules. So we'll note down that value and click on next. Now we'll calculate the total energy loss, energy for failure of the specimen. That is 46 joules minus 2 joules. That is energy loss due to friction. So we'll calculate that value and then click on next. Now for trial 2, we'll take one more new specimen of mild steel. Then we'll note down the dimensions that is given in the table. So we'll place it in the anvil portion of the whole setup. So we click on next. So you can see here the specimen is placed. The notch is facing the direction of the hammer. So we'll pull the lever and allow the hammer to strike the specimen. We'll note down the total loss of energy during transit of hammer. That's about 44 joules. Then we'll calculate the energy for failure of specimen. So we'll calculate that value. It is about 42 joules. We'll note down the values and click on next. Again, for trial 3, we'll take a new specimen and that will be placed in the anvil portion. Again, we'll pull the lever so that the hammer will break the specimen. So here you can see the test piece was not broken by striking energy of the testing machine. So for this particular trial, the value will remain nil. So we'll click on next. So now the readings from all the 3 trials are shown. So that as the third trial had no values, that is given as nil. So then we'll calculate the average energy for failure of specimen. That is average of the 2 trials. Otherwise, it would be average of the 3 trials. It's about 43 joules. So this was one of the experiment in the strength of material lab. So going back to the list of experiments, there are other experiments which you can see. So we'll just go back to the civil engineering domain page. So here again there are labs developed regarding fluid machinery labs, fluid mechanics labs, etc. There, these are labs related to fluid mechanics. So we'll see one of the labs related to that, that is fluid machinery labs. So we'll go to list of experiments. So the look and feel of these lab is little bit different compared to the other lab because these are newly developed labs hosted by IIT Bombay. So if I go to list of experiments, as you can see, there are about 7 experiments. So all are related to performance characteristics of turbines or pumps. So we'll see one of the experiments. Let's just go to performance characteristics of Francis turbine. So here again, the template will remain the same as you had seen in the previous experiment. Here the addition is there is a pre-test and post-test section. So pre-test will be set of quiz questions which the students can take before doing the simulation, and post-test will be a set of quiz questions the students can take after doing the simulation. So we'll go to the simulation where we'll perform the experiment. So here you can see in simulation there are 2 options: Francis turbine at constant head condition and Francis turbine at constant speed condition. So we'll select one of them. So I'll go to Francis turbine at constant head condition. So here the objectives are defined, the apparatus used is shown. So there's a section called description where some important definitions related to this experiment will be given. So the experimental setup is shown. So I'll click on next. Now in the first step, we'll start the pump by clicking on the red button, green button. So now since it is constant head condition, the user is given an option to select the head. So from the drop down menu, I'll select the head as 11 meter. So the students can select any head. So here there's a question popping up. Selected head value is constant throughout the experiment. Say true or false. So it is true. So once I select the answer, I'll click on OK. So these questions are added so that the experimentation does not become monotonous to the students and the students are invested in the experiment. So we'll click, now we'll open the inlet valve to keep the pressure constant. So click on next. Now for trial 1, we'll not apply any weight on the pan, and for that we'll calculate the torque. So the formula to calculate the torque is given. So we'll calculate the values and enter the value and then click on check. So in case your answer is wrong, just click on result. So the torque is 1.47 Newton meter. So now we'll note down the speed of the motor. Since it is constant head condition, for every trial the speed of the motor will vary. So we'll insert a tachometer to note down the speed of the motor. So for trial 1, the speed of the motor is 1750 RPM. So click on next. Now note down the hook gauge reading. So the initial and the final readings are noted down, and then we'll calculate the head of water, that is final reading minus initial reading. Also we'll calculate the actual discharge. So the formula to calculate the actual discharge is given. So you can see here. So we'll calculate and enter the values. So here in that formula, there were some constant parameters. If in case the students don't know the constants, you can refer to this section called variables in calculation. So there's a question. Francis turbine it's a reaction turbine. So I'll click on OK. So these questions, in case the students give a wrong answer also, the simulator will give the correct answer and the students can proceed with the simulation. So now we are done with trial 1. So under Francis turbine constant head, addition of weight increases the speed. Say true or false. So I'll go with false, then I'll click on OK. So for trial 1, based on the observations we made from trial 1, we'll calculate the parameters like input power in watts. So the formula to calculate that is given. Similarly, output power given by 2 pi NT by 60. Then we'll calculate the efficiency, that is output power by input power into 100. So similarly, we'll calculate unit power. So here h is the constant head that we are maintaining, that is 11 meter. Similarly, unit speed in RPM, n by given by n by square root of h, where h n is the speed of the motor. So we will calculate the unit discharge in meter cube per second. So now for trial 2, we'll increase the weight on the pan. So the weight on the pan will be about 2 kgs. For that, we'll calculate the corresponding torque. So torque is 2.94 Newton meter. Then we'll insert a tachometer to note down the speed of the motor for this particular trial. So it's about 1630 RPM. So the speed is noted down. Then finally we'll note down the hook gauge reading and then calculate the actual discharge. So we'll enter the values and then click on check. So head of water is calculated by, so head is, as I said, it is final reading minus the initial hook gauge reading. So click on next. Now for trial 2, again we'll calculate all the parameters based on the observation readings. So here T is the torque that we calculated, that is 2.94 Newton meter. Similarly, unit power in watt, unit speed in RPM, and unit discharge in meter cube per second. So we are done with trial 2. So for trial 3, again the weight on the pan will increase to 3 kgs. For that, we'll calculate the corresponding torque. The formula is given, that is W minus S into RG. So the speed of the motor again is calculated for this particular trial by inserting a tachometer. It's about 1580 RPM. So now we'll note down the hook gauge reading and then calculate the actual discharge in meter cube per second. So we are repeating the same steps. So there's a question popping up. Francis turbine is located between high pressure water source and low pressure water exit. So I'll click on OK. So again, lastly for trial 3, we'll calculate the input power, output power in watt, efficiency given by output power by input power into 100. So it is given in percentage. Similarly, unit power, unit speed in RPM, and then unit discharge. So we are done with the calculation for 3 trials. Now we'll stop the pump by clicking on the red button. So click on.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I think there is some system issue with Aishwarya.
Yes, ma'am.
The presentation has stopped. So
Yes, ma'am.
she hopefully she'll be getting back soon. So
Yes, ma'am.
now I request Rohit from our team to take over the session.
Okay.
So for the participants, Rohit will be taking the demonstrations on mechanical based labs. So
Okay.
over to you, Rohit. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Rohit. I'm Junior Research Fellow in Center for System Design. So, I'll be demonstrating some of the mechanical lab. I'll present my screen. So, this is the virtual lab page. So, in the broad area, I have gone to the engineering, mechanical engineering. So, if you open a mechanical engineering page, This is the page where it will come. So here is all the number of mechanical labs which are available, and I'll be demonstrating some of the labs developed by NITK. And let me start with the machine dynamics and vibration lab, which I have already opened. So this is the lab. So here is the machine dynamics and mechanical lab. So generally in the introduction, a very brief introduction of the subject related to that it will be given, and in the user interface is very similar to the civil lab Aishwarya was showing, and other experiments as well. It's very similar. So there's introduction, experiment, target audience, course align, prerequisite, and feedback. So let me go to the experiments. So in the experiment page, we'll find the number of experiments which are available for the user to explore. So let me start a free vibration of cantilever beam. Okay, so this is the experiment page. And as you can see, it's again very similar to the civil experiment. So there's a theory, very brief theory, which is required for the user to go through before doing simulation. So it will provide the equations and the theory behind the experiment. User can go through it. Then there's a procedure which guides user to go through the experiment. Then there's self-evaluation, which is nothing but a quiz. User can take that before going to the simulator. In the simulator, we have the simulation page. Then there are assignment, quizzes, videos related to the experiment, references, and feedback if anyone wants to get that. So in the simulator, as you can see, we have different number of experiments here. So in this experiment particularly, we have the explore phase as well as experimental phase. So in the explore phase, a user is only allowed to change some variables and see what are the particular changes happening in the experiment and in the simulation. Sorry, and in the experiment, a user is allowed to get interface with the experiment and do the experiment. So let me start an explore phase. So these are all required you to enable the flash player, which I'll do now. So once you allow it, you can see a simulation page here. So as you can see in the simulation page, there's an animation and a problem setup in the center, and there's a variable tab and there's a control tab. So in the variable tab, we have all the variables which are required for an experiment to execute. As you can see in the center, there's a cantilever beam with an end mass in the end, and which is vibrating. Then there's a side view and the front view of the experiment of the beam, which is I section. And as I hover my mouse over it, I can see the properties of the beam. And there's a spring mass damping system. Free body diagram has been given here. How and again, if we hover our mouse over there, we can get the properties of that stiffness and damping coefficients and all. So in the variable, as you can see on the materials, there's steel already selected. So we can select this drop down and we can select any of the material which are given over here. That is steel, aluminum, and bronze. So we can select any one of it, and again, if we hover our cursor over it, it will tell us about the properties and properties of the material. And there are a number of cross section available, so user is allowed to change the cross section from I section to T section, C section, L section, square, circular, and there's one option that is other where some custom sections can be given. So if I select other cross section, so here we are allowed to change these values and we can change the shape of the beam. So let me go back to the default, that is I section. Then as user is free to change the length. So if I change the length and if I play the button, as you can see in the experiment, the length has increased. Similarly, I can decrease it. So it's like very real time, user is able to see the changes in the experiment. If I change the damping ratio, there will be the change in the vibration as well. So let's and at the same time we can change the end mass also. So from 0 to 200 kgs, and while doing that a user can see the changes which will be happening. So now as we can see, we have increased and mass damping ratio is 0, and the vibration is uh, like this. So on the second page here, there's a for the same thing. As you can see, there's a cantilever beam, that's same, and free body diagram, and there are two graphs given. So one is displacement versus time, and one is amplitude versus frequency ratio. So if I change the damping ratio, I can see the displacement versus time graph. What are the changes? The displacement, the particular time, the first displacement and the second displacement. And if I change any of the variable here, we'll directly see the changes in the graph over here, and this in the legends we can find the values as well. So this was the explore phase of the experiment. There's one experiment, so there are 4 of them. Let me open this. So in the experiment, user is not allowed to play with the variables here. These will be constant, as the experiment will be given directly, and uh, as you can see, the problem setup and everything is same. Just in the control, there's a start experiment button. You start it. As you can find here, there's a question here like find the logarithmic decrement from the displacement versus time graph. So displacement versus time graph is this, and the variables are already given over here. So user is needed to calculate this. So let us see the displacement logarithmic decrement. So the displacement is, I'll just quickly calculate it. Point 93. We'll check. So once you insert a correct value, it will give a feedback over here, as you can see this. And let's say if I put some incorrect value, let's say 1, so it will give a feedback that this answer is incorrect. You please calculate it again. So if a user is satisfied with their experiment, they can reset it, and the experimental setup will change, and again they have to calculate from the graph like this. Similarly, there's one more experiment that I'll show you. There's 3 and 4 also. So let me show the experiment 1. And again the same setup is there. We can just start the experiment. Here it is asked to find the stiffness of the beam over here, and all the variables we can use the values from the variables. And if the user is confused, they can hover over this and they can find the formula and whatever the variables they are required to calculate and all other things. So again, this user can calculate and put the value here and can see if their answer is correct or not. So this was one of the experiments. Let me demonstrate one more experiment in this lab. Just go back in the experiments. So let's open rotating unbalanced mass. So again, very brief introduction, brief theory has been given. The user can go through and get to know about the experiment where they are about to do. Then there is a procedure to guide the users, self-evaluation and simulator. So I'll directly go for simulator. There's one explore phase. So as you can see, the experimental setup is very similar. So there's a experimental setup in between. There's a variable tab and control parameters. So as we can see, there's a free body diagram. There's a spring and damping mass system, and there's a rotating unbalance in center. If we can see, it's rotating over here. And on the side, there's a graph for displacement versus time graph. So the user is allowed to change the stiffness. So if we change the stiffness, we can see the change in the vibrations and the displacement. So as you can see, if I decrease the displacement, stiffness, we can see the aggressiveness in the uh, animation in this displacement of the time graph. So let's keep it like this. We can change this mass. As we increase the mass, we can see the change in the experiment. Then we can change the damping ratio, and let's make the coefficient accordingly. And the unmasked balance can also be changed, so it's from 0 to some 20 kg, and rotation speed also can be changed. So as we can see, so a user is going to get the very basic idea of what are these parameters are actually doing in a particular experiment. So like this, and once your setup is ready, once you're satisfied with your variables, we can go to the control panel, and we can see the magnification factor with the frequency ratio as well as the phase angle. And we can go back. Let's see, a user is want to check what will happen in the magnification factor if the damping ratio is decreased again. So again, we can go back to the graph, and we can see the new graph, which is different in color, and we can appreciate the change in the graph. And the operating value of the frequency ratio is marked over here. So that is where a user can use their operating value of the frequency ratio. Again, let's see if the user wants to change the stiffness, and then they can go. So it doesn't make any difference over here, but the operating value has been changed. So the user is going to get very good knowledge of how the experiments and these things are worked in real experiment, and it will give a clear idea of doing this experiment. So let us go to another virtual lab. It's another lab that is also developed by NITK. Let's go to the dynamics of machine lab, which is like this, and I have already opened it. So this is a new lab, a recently developed lab, and its user interface is different. Like it's very similar, but it's a little bit different from as we have gone through. So there's the introduction as already explained. Then there's list of experiments, target audience, and course alignment and feedback. So in the list of experiment, there are 9 experiments a user can select. So let's select. Let's say we'll go with the parole governor. So once I select a parole governor on the side, it will give you the aim to do the experiment. Then there's a theory, which is a very important for a user to go through it so that they can get some basics, and they should be able to understand what is going behind the experiment. Then there is a pre-test. So uh, this is also very important. A user can go through before doing an experiment, and they can test their knowledge. Then there's a procedure, which guide the procedure basically guide a user to how to proceed for the experimentation if a user is new there. Then there's a simulation. So simulation page is there's no change in that. It's very similar. So there's experimental setup in center. There's a variable tab, and there's a control tab. So as you can see, there's a parole governor rotating, and there are 2 views given. There is top view and the front view, and there are legends like S stand for shaft, change the RPM and see the height. So it gives some instructions as well. And there's a free body diagram, which is very important. Now let's change the RPM, which is from 100 to 130, and the mass of the balls can be changed from 4 kgs to 6 kgs. So let's see what will happen. And the current height is 268.64 mm. Sorry. Let's change the RPM, and we'll see what is the change happening in the height, which is inversely proportional. And let's see what will happen if we directly change the mass. And we can directly get the height over here, and we can select from the control tab. We can select show graph, So a graph will be given over here. As you can see, the n square is inversely proportional to the height, which as we have already seen. And while doing this, you can see the change in the animation as well. You can just uh, check this as, so if I change the RPM, the height will also change. And on the graph, if we hover, it will give the corresponding values at what RPM, what will be the height. Then there's a experimental page in the parole governor as well. So user can select two of the experiments over here. Let's say calculation, and we can start the experiment. So here also we are not allowed to change the variables, as they will be fixed, and according to that user is supposed to calculate the values. And the constant variables, the FM by BM, which is from the free body diagram, the value is given over here. The mass is constant, and the question is to find the RPM. And if we reset the experiment, sometime the question might change. So again, this constant variables will be same. These variables are like RPM is now 26 and mass is 5 kg, and the question is to find the height. If we reset again, so it might change, and now it will ask you the to calculate the mass. So just calculate it. So I'm just keeping some values, and if you check, so it will give you like the calculation is correct or not. And it's always a good practice for a user to go through simulations to go through this experiment very smoothly, so they'll get to know the theory and the uh, idea behind the experiment, and they can check. Let's say we keep some other value, so it will give the feedback, and it will say the it's wrong answer, the correct answer is 4, so that user will get to know there's some uh, error in their calculation, and they can go through that again. So once your experiment is done, if they are satisfied with the experiment, they can reset and do some more experiments, and once they're done, they can exit the experiment and they can go for the different experiment is identify the part of the governor. So it is very visual based experiments to identify the parts. So there's a role governor given over here, and these are the parts user is about to select the correct answer. So let's say if I select this drop down, so this is a fly wall. So it will give a feedback over here if the correct answer is correct or not. Let's say if we select some incorrect, so it will say that give a wrong mark over here, and they can again come here and check if the answer is correct or not. So this was parole governor, and I'll go back to experiments. So there are some more experiments. Let's say balancing of mass in a single plane. So again, the setup is same. We'll directly go to the simulation. So here's the simulation. In the center, there's a unbalancing mass. There are two masses, that is 1 and 2, which are rotating. And the variable user is allowed to change the mass 1, mass 2, the length of the length of the mass 1 and mass length of the length of the mass of n1 and n2, and this is the angle from where you want to start. So we can pause it, and we can extend. If we pause it, we can see this legends over here, which is the angle. Like the mass 2 from mass 1 is 107 degrees, and like this we can get it. And we can change the direction of rotation as well, like this, clockwise or anti-clockwise. So once this problem setup is done, we can go to the control panel, and here the experimenter starts. So it says enter the value to balance R centimeter. So we can add to balance this mass, we can add the link length, the mass, keep some value, and some angle, and like this is the added mass over here. And if we submit, so it will tell us the correct answer. So the balancing mass should be this, position of the balancing mass should be this, and the error that we have user have made and the percentage error in the mask. So once they are done, they can again come back and change some different variables and again can execute the experiment. So similarly, I'll show one more lab over here, that is mechanics of machine lab, again developed by NITK Surat. So if you select that, we will go to this page, and in the starting of the experiment, in the starting of the lab page, we can find a very brief description of about the mechanics of machine, what a user can go through to brush up their knowledge. I'll go to the experiment directly. Let's say I'll go for a cam mechanism. So if we select a CAM mechanism, so again very similar like theory, procedure, self-evaluation and simulation. So I'll directly go for the simulation. So as you can see, there's a cam rotating in the center of the screen, and there are variables A, B, theta and omega. So A and B are the major and the minor radius of the elliptical cam. So as we can change it, we can see the particular change in the screen over here, and we can make it accordingly. And the omega also we can change. So once a user is satisfied with their variables according to the elliptical cam, we can select show graph. So once we show the graph, so the graph will be over here, will be made for position versus time, velocity versus time, amplitude, acceleration versus time, and jerk. Now user can change any of the variable over here and they can see the change. So what these variables will show. So this experiment is going to help the user to get the knowledge visually, which are not available in the books that easily. So this was experiment from mechanics of machine. So again, we can explore a lot of different experiments as well from mechanics of machine lab. There are some more than 20 number of experiments over here. So these were some of the experiments from the mechanical lab. I think now Aishwarya will take over whatever was left, or I think Shrishta ma'am will tell now. Thank you.